Hello everyone, and welcome back to ARL Round 5 here of the iRacing Thursday GT3 Championship here at Barber Barber Motorsport Park in Birmingham, Alabama. It's a 2.38 mile track with 15 corners here to show you all what our drivers can do. My name is Kevin Borges, joined today on the comms and on the counts by Jack Mays, and I hope you all have a great viewing here today. Jack, what do you expect today from our drivers?
Honestly, I expect I expect mistakes. I won't lie, right off the rip, because this is a completely new circuit to both you and I, which makes this a little bit more fun for us. But it is an absolute beast. There are some devilish chicanes. There's a lot of elevation change that can catch drivers out. I think the third sector is really going to be all about taming the rear end of whatever GT3 car you decide to take to the circuit. And I must say, off rip, how strange it is for someone else to be introducing a stream, because this is the first time that, well, this is the first time that anybody besides me has introduced an ARL broadcast basically since I started doing ARL broadcasts. So that's strange on its own. But outside of that, it's been many moons since I did not introduce a stream and lead a stream. But that is entirely because I'm a bit under the weather this evening, and Kevin graciously decided to stay up super late and enjoy some racing and pull most of the weight. So thank you, Kevin. But qualifying is underway. That is the most important thing in front of us, and I think we're in for a good one.
I think so too. Like, you can see from the track map on the right-hand side of your screen, like, there's a lot to this track, and once you see all the cars go around, there's like a lot of elevations, there's a lot of turns, there's a lot of things that can put like jeopardy to our drivers. Here we go now with James O'Brien. We see from the outside, and here you can see, like, even in this third sector, like, the track goes up, the track goes down, and then there's this final even dip down as we now go on board with James O'Brien along the start-finish straight, going towards turn one. And here we already see like this first elevation change, and he has already stopped.
He
It
got
is
you.
sad. We wanted everything, James. We wanted everything, but it's not meant to be. But then, like, we can already see at some of the times that have been put down already. 1 minute 20.307 by Paul O'Malley, who has been rampant this season already. Piotr Przybylski, who has been rapid all season, just not had the consistency to really pull all the way through. And then James O'Brien in P3, 1 minute 20.819. Michael Hickman not too far behind, who's also been like screaming at the top end, as is Anne-Marie de Pasquale. So, you know, it does look very close. Jack, you have been seeing these drivers a lot more than I have. So I do think this is looking to be a very close race.
Absolutely. I was wondering if maybe we get a moment of an onboard lap, but, well, already a mistake from Leonvejo Castellum. Bit of a Porsche moment. Rear-engine car, more likely to go around than be unsettled by understeer. But no, it's always been a close fight at the top. There's really been very little throughout the season. In qualifying, once you get to the race, things sort of start to spread out. But it was a really fun race at Road America last week. I'm anticipating a really fun race here at Barber this week. Maybe a bit of redemption for Anne-Marie after her unfortunate misgivings at the sort of tail end of lap one last week, and or perhaps redemption for James O'Brien, who lost the lead of the race at the final lap. And it was a very good event, and you know, we'll sort of see what there is. I'm curious, just sort of as someone who doesn't know this circuit, and Kevin, you're probably thinking to a similar degree that I am, but where's overtaking going to be done? Where are the big moves, because a lot of the bigger braking zones are going downhill into a chicane, into a sharp corner, and I think moves are just going to need to be very, very measured. They're going to need to be very uh, super well thought out at the end of the day. Um, I think most everybody is sort of parked it up for qualifying. I think everybody's entering their pit stalls. There are only 4 valid laps you can set, so that's sort of not a timed qualifying as much as it is a you have 4 chances, use them all. Is more iRacing strangeness. But Kevin, it looks like Paul O'Malley's going to hold it, and interestingly, that's not the fastest time we've seen. I think that Piotr Shabilski might have done a high 19 in practice, unless I was forgetting. So maybe there's a little bit of time left on the table, and I don't know, not too sure what to say other than seems like O'Malley's got this.
Well, I'll be honest, I'm not too sure what Piotr Przybylski had in practice, but he was the leading car in free practice. But at this moment in time, we do see Paul O'Malley being the top ranked driver with that 1 minute 20.307. We still have Devon Strouch going around trying to improve his time. But yeah, going back to your previous question where I think the overtakes are going to be like we do have like the braking zone into turn 1, but that still looks like a medium speed corner with some more medium speed corners like the long right hander coming in afterwards. I think if you really have to run, you might have a shot into turn 5, the long left hander, maybe into the chicane of turn 7, 8, and then towards 9. But yeah, I think those are the ones where you should be looking at and nowhere else, as it's now gone to 0 seconds left in qualifying as iRacing does its thing. Once it hits 0, that is the end of qualifying. You cannot finish your lap, and this is the end of qualifying. Paul O'Malley, P1 with a 1 minute 20.307. Piotr Przybylski in second with 1 minute 20.720. James O'Brien in third, 1 minute 20.819. Then Michael Hittman in fourth, Anne-Marie de Pasquale in P5, Stefano Zanotti in P6, Daniel Kent P7, Marcus Taylor P8, David De Leon P9, Ted Piper P10, Leon Vallejo Castellum P11, Javi Sanabria P12, Devon Strouch P13, Wyatt Johnson P14, and at the tail end of our field, Anthony Pacheco, but certainly not saying that he's going to be last in the race, because we've seen quite some things with these drivers in the previous races, haven't we, Jack?
Oh, absolutely. I think qualifying is a as with every race, it's a measure of pace to a certain degree, but where it really comes to confirmation of what these drivers are going to do is always in the race. I mean, qualifying pace is one thing; you only have to do 1 lap, but in a race, well, you got to do a bit more than 1 lap. You got to do 60 minutes worth of those laps, and it is worth mentioning before we get underway for the formation lap. Well, 2 things. First of all, the sort of unique scenario for these races where these drivers are only allowed 55% of their maximum fuel tank. So pit stops aren't mandatory, but there's no physical way you could actually do the race with 55% of fuel, at least if you want to finish on the leading lap. So that is required. And the other thing, for the second week in a row, a shout out to the Drive-Thru Club. They are the sponsors of this event and last week's event. So the reason that I am here, the reason that Kevin is here, is due to them. So if you're enjoying watching, I don't know, say nice things about them, I suppose. They're wonderful, and of course, James O'Brien is the man, the representative on circuit for the Drive-Thru Club. So I'm not pulling favorites, but he's currently my favorite on circuit right now. But that will all change in a couple moments, Kevin, because once it goes green, It's all about the men and women behind the wheel pushing to the absolute limit.
Exactly. We always appreciate anyone who helps us along so that we are able to broadcast whatever race that we can. We already saw the safety car pull away there. There's still a little bit of time to go before they head onto the start-finish straight. And they actually are going already. Paul O'Malley has pulled the trigger with Piotr Sibielski following very closely behind, but we already see a move on the inside. Michael Hickman trying to go for that move into 1 and 2, but it's just a little bit too close. But then, yeah, they are still line astern going into turns 3, 4, going towards 5. Let's see if we see any moves into turn 5, but yeah, it just seems like everyone's got that little bit of a gap already that they're not under threat. Did see a little bit of a move there with Leon Vallejo Gastelum already going on the inside there. But yeah, it's very close going into these first opening corners. We do see one straggler there behind the 88 of Pacheco. So something might have happened there. Oh, very close there with the Porsche. Very close to just cut across the nose of the car in front of that green Mercedes. That is Ted Piper. So yeah, something happened there for sure. But all in all, it does look like a very good opening lap so far.
Oh, absolutely, and it really looks like that Michael Hickman is definitely looking for an opportunity there. Very fighty into turn 1, and Paul O'Malley he pulled the trigger super early on the start. The one thing that I pretty much forget. Oh, a massive bit of weave from Paul O'Malley. I think drivers trying to get tires up to temperature. They really weren't able to do that. And temp is going to be everything at a circuit like this, and clearly needing to do it. But the thing that always catches me out every week, and it caught you out, Kevin, and I should have told you, but I entirely forgot. But it's the way that iRacing does their race starts. You don't wait for the green flag. As soon as the safety car pulls in, it's down to the leader, who is being dove on just a bit by Piotr Trubilski. Because it's that long left, he's sort of got the inside line, though, coming down towards turn 7. It's going to shoot back the other way, but it looks like the Dadman GT and Paul O'Malley got the better launch out into the chicane. He goes in, around, down, and he maintains the lead for the moment. But yeah, pulled the trigger super early on the race start, and so far holding off all accounts. It does look like there's a bit of fighting happening between Anne-Marie De Pasquale and the Corvette of Zanotti. But I'm not 100% sure who between the two has the advantage, because it does kind of seem like, Kevin, that Anne-Marie is honestly being held up a little bit by the Italian stallion in his Corvette. Anne-Marie's the driver in second place of this championship, wants to be up running in front, but the roadblock behind is she's struggling to get past him for the moment. A stellar defense from the Corvette for sure.
Yeah, Zanotti is putting up a very good fight so far. I didn't know about the starting procedures in iRacing. I just didn't expect O'Malley to go that early, especially considering how long that straight is. But we do see Anne-Marie try and go for the inside, but she thought better of trying to go for the lunge. But she's now side by side going in towards turn 7. They're side by side. It's very close, but Zanotti does have the inside, so Anne-Marie will have to do something very spectacular to try and get the position, but she's doing everything there as they're now going out of turn 9 towards turn 10, and it does seem, well, I thought she had it, but they're still going side by side, going towards turn 12, and you think every time that she has it, but somehow Zanotti is staying ahead of Anne-Marie De Pasquale. So yeah, I think these couple of corners now coming up, like, Zanotti is just going to stay ahead, but Anne-Marie is really knocking on that door.
Yeah, you can see a little bit of aggression coming around the final corner, maybe thinking, oh, what if I stuck my nose inside? But definitely getting in the mirrors of the number 18 ahead, and they're 3 wide just behind going into turn 1. Ted Piper seems like he's really got a fight on his hands, but he's squeezed through as David DeLeon and Daniel Kent behind continue the fight. It's kind of funny. It's a front-loaded it's a Mustang front-loaded field, and the middle is pretty much dominated by the AMGs. Then you got a couple of Porsches dribbling back behind, but everybody absolutely going for it. And because Anne-Marie and Zanotti are kind of going at it just a bit, it's compressing the pack behind them. Everybody's, you know, stacking up. And when that happens, any sort of momentum shift like we saw at the end of the last lap can sort of decide greatness or failure on a move, but just so tricky to make a move here. There's, as you said, Kevin, so much medium speed that you're not hitting the brakes. There's no huge braking zone. The biggest one being the one for turn 5, and you're braking downhill, so it's already a bit awkward. You're going down a crest, but huge commitment to get through. And yet again, Anne-Marie sort of looking a little feisty. Yet again, Stefano Zanotti running a bit wide on the final corner, but I don't think she's close enough. I think she's just going to have to work really hard lap after lap to get past this guy.
Well, what I think is like Anne-Marie actually has the pace to have a proper look, but from what I see so far, like she's looking in the wrong corners. Like she was trying to get through in turn 14, where it's like it's very difficult to get past. Like here, once again, she's having a look in turn 5, which is actually probably her best look, but it's just where she's putting her car previously. It's just making it difficult for herself. But yeah. It does look like it's only a matter of time before she can get past Zanotti. Oh, it's getting very close there. We look at the rear end of Stefano Zanotti. You know, here we go once again through the chicane. Like, it's not a lot what Anne-Marie can do here, but you can see her look every time, and I think she's. It looks like she's getting. Ooh,
I think she made it.
I think she. Yeah, she went a little too wide, got a bit frustrated, I think, behind Zanotti, really wanted to get past, and then just tried something where it just wasn't going to happen. And, yeah, just put herself onto the grass.
It almost looked like that she got too close for comfort on the rear, was worried that there might be a bit of contact, and Anne-Marie might have spun around the Corvette, and she kind of backed out mid-corner, but because of the way the track was going, she ended up off. Oh, she gave all the space in the world to Daniel Kent, but coming back down through, it's just a bit of a spunterino, as we say in the building. But yeah, Daniel Kent suddenly going wheel to wheel with a Red Bull Racing Esports driver, and well, not making any waves about it. You didn't. Oh wait, it's Zanotti on the inside, and there's Ted Piper as well. Clearly, some kind of incident between the two. Several things to look at now, but one Corvette trades for another, as now Wyatt Johnson's the leading car. There's a bit more contact there. Daniel Kent has hit another vehicle. There's a Porsche going down the inside, completely cutting the circuit. That's allowing for Daniel Kent to slide through. There's 6 cars involved in this fight. It doesn't, I'm not sure whose car is actually functioning at 100%. There's a Porsche on the side of the circuit. Daniel Kent somehow has made his way through this entire pack and up into 7th place. Devin Strauss has got 2 Corvettes behind them. Ted Piper looking a bit slow coming out of everything here. And, well, I was going to say there's lots of replays to look at, but I'm having trouble looking away at the moment, because there's the Corvette of Wyatt Johnson trying to go around the Porsche, and here comes the other Corvette of Stefano Zanotti trying to tow his way through into the braking zone for 1. This is absurd. There's more contact, Kevin. Oh, it's gotten really wrong.
Like
it's going so wrong.
Oh no, it's going from bad to worse, sadly. Like, all these cars like trying to fight each other so closely. But then, of course, I saw what happened in a slight replay between Anne-Marie and Zanotti. It was just like this slightest bit of netcode that put around, and you know, with how the way the netcode works here in iRacing, like sometimes when you go that close between each other, it does just change all the things. But it seemed like everyone had lost like all the marbles. It's like they were going for everything. They didn't care about what happened to their own race, to anyone else's race. Like, they just went for the sense. And yeah, now we have like a very different, top of the race. Like, where initially it was Amory, where we had Stefano Zanotti, but now like it's got David De Leon, Daniel Kent, Ted Piper, like all behind the top four, which have been pretty much line astern from the start. But yeah, like this has really changed the complexion of this race, as we now see Zanotti without a rear wing. So yeah, something really bad must have happened there. Oh no, and they're parking their car.
Oh, it's a park up. Yeah, that was pretty much it's the kind of thing where you're racing in a pack, everyone's sort of composed, then one thing happens, then another thing. Once the dominoes started falling, basically the building housing the dominoes fell down with it. I'm gonna try to make my way through and find all the replays for that, but there was a lot going on. We're gonna start with where Anne-Marie De Pasquale went off at turn I think at the exit of turn 12. This should be. Oh no, this was actually when she was sent around by the AMG. Just a little bit of a better view, and kind of didn't really look like Kent was slowing down the appropriate amount, and just saw the gap, went for the gap, and into the back, as it were. But
it does seem a little bit like there was a bit of descent, but also a bit of the net code. So it was a little bit of ascent, a little bit of what I thought I saw in the real time, where where sometimes you see a gap between the cars. But yeah, it was definitely an opportunistic move by the Mercedes there.
Definitely. And then this should be the beginning of the kickoff, I believe. Something we caught at the very end of. Yeah, that's when Zanotti went round. So he just basically was sort of coming to a...
That was just a punt.
Yeah, it was a bit of a punt. That was Ted Piper just square into the back. And you can see this is when everybody stacked up. And this is when everybody started to basically try to kill each other. So we'll see if I try to find the next, as it's listed in the replay, crash in big red letters. So this is just a little bit later. I think this is about half a lap later from the incident that we just saw. This is Wyatt Johnson. Yes, this is when it really went off in turn one. One car spins, Zanotti goes onto the grass, gets tagged, and then Zanotti goes into the Porsche. And not great from the pair. I just want to see that again from an onboard if I'm able. Oh no, this is when Zanotti lost his rear wing. So yeah, that would be the one. That meant he...
Yeah, that'll definitely do it. And yeah, that is going to make this a very long race for Zanotti. He had to wait for the tow. Luckily, they still have their one fast repair. But yeah, that's still going to put them all the way at the back. But now we see Anne-Marie once again try and go for the moves now against Wyatt Johnson, who is defending now into turn 5. But it does seem like Anne-Marie has a bit more to go versus the cars she was fighting earlier. But yeah, this is still a very close fight, and it doesn't seem like any car is really the better one in race trim against anyone else. It seems like anyone could do anything. Like here, we see a Corvette, we see a Ford, we see a Mercedes. At the front, it are two Fords, and then also Michael Hickman in the McLaren doing a very good job, and David De Leon in the Porsche. So it doesn't really seem like any one car is doing a lot better than anyone else, as Anne-Marie is still like haunting the back of Wyatt Johnson. So yeah, oh, that is getting very, very, very close. And yeah, she's really looking to make that move. There's just not enough room. And then whenever she tries to go for those moves in those fast corners, it does seem like she's losing out. So do you think, like, if she just holds back for like maybe, just a focus on the exit of 16, that she could make this, or is this just like all the cars being equal to each other?
Yeah, it's tough to say. I mean, the Mustang's sort of always been a car that is very quick in a straight line, generally, as far as iRacing trim is concerned. But the straights really aren't long enough, and she's lining up to go around the outside of 7, 8, and 9, and actually manages to make it just about work. They give each other the perfect amount of space, and, well, at the end of the straight, as if it was meant to be, but definitely an unconventional move. But I think you're right. I have a sneaking suspicion this is a bit of a tricky circuit, and one that I can imagine that most drivers, this could be their first time working their way around, so they're probably learning how to overtake in real time. They're sort of finding their way. This is what it feels like to go wheel to wheel at Barber Motorsport now live, and I think that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting of most of the circuit. And well, we just saw an example of it going right as a very good move from Anne-Marie. We just saw early on the Demolition Derby what it looks like when it went a bit wrong. But now that we're 15 or so minutes into the race, Kevin, maybe they'll start to relax, but possibly not.
Well, it's a bit of a yes and no, because we can see now it's just below 44 minutes to go, so we've only just passed 15 minutes, which means it's like the drivers have already been getting used to this track in race trim for over 15 minutes. They see what they can do, they see what they can't. But on the other hand, they also know like they still need to make that pit stop, and especially now that we're looking here at this fight for P1 and P2. With Piotr Przybylski getting within 4/10 of Paul O'Malley. You know, it does turn into this thing of, do you pit early to try and get that undercut, or do you just keep on pushing to try and make the overtake on track? You see that man GT like still staying at front, like. These are still both two Ford Mustangs GT3s. They'll have no inherent advantages against each other unless they're running very different setups. But as far as we see, they're going like they're doing the same pace. They're doing the same things, and at the moment it is very difficult for. Well, it's actually very easy for that man GT Paul O'Malley to stay in front. But yeah, for Piotr, it's going to be quite difficult to try and overtake. But just as a sidebar, I am looking currently at the YouTube chat. I see Laura O'Brien, of course, saying that James is her favorite. I think that might be James O'Brien.
Yep, I was saying that he's my favorite, so yeah.
Yeah. PNW 992 is saying Zanotti is an angry Italian. Good luck. Yeah, he might not be too happy with what has been happening, and the real smooth brain saying this is just a demolition derby. It really has been a little bit, but something just happened to Piotr while I was looking away, because he's just dropped 3 seconds versus Paul O'Malley, and now Michael Hickman is at the back of Piotr. So, chat, please tell me what I just missed.
Well, I sort of missed it too, but we have the wonderful powers of hindsight, also known as hit the replay button. So we're going to see exactly what happened there. Oh, we sort of went for a bit of a clumsy move. Oh, well, nope. I don't know what's happening at this point. We're going to try that again. Just gonna hit the button. We're on board. Sort of a gap opened up, and maybe the door kind of shut. No, it was just a little bit of. It was a aggressive move. It was definitely an opportunistic move, and Paul O'Malley kind of shut the door, which, admittedly, rightfully can do in a situation like that. Is not required to give space, but yeah. So just a little bit of a half spin, dropping him back a couple of seconds and into the clutches of the McLaren, which I don't know if it's supposed to be. I've sort of been perplexed by this livery. the whole season. The one on the McLaren being it's just like a is it rusty? Is it supposed to be patinaed? Is it supposed to be a car that freshly drove through like a field full of cows and it's just covered in like animal blood? I don't know, but it's definitely striking, Kevin.
To me, it looks a bit like a rust bucket, but the rust bucket is now hounding the back of Piotr Przybylski. It did look like Piotr tried to go for a bit of a gap of a corner that was always going to be closing just by the way of the corner profile. So, yeah, it's a bit sad for Piotr with that little lazy half spin, we could say. But now, yeah, Paul O'Malley has every right to just pull away with Piotr having to feel the wrath of the rust bucket of Michael Hickman. And Michael Hickman is putting up the pressure on Piotr Przybylski because Paul O'Malley is currently pulling away slightly from the two behind, and Michael Hickman is just staying there within that second, even though Piotr is showing once again his inherent pace. But yeah, this could still go anywhere, especially if you think about the pit strategy. Because if you were Piotr right now, do you think is it worth pitting early to not have the the pressure of Michael Hickman behind and try and put the pressure on Paul O'Malley instead, or would you push until the end?
It's kind of a tricky one because of the way that the track is kind of spread out. There's a good chance you pull into pit lane from their position right now and you end up in another fight, because there's pretty much pairs of cars all the way down the order, and you sort of have to hope that you enter into a clear circuit. But because if you pit and exit into traffic, any advantage you could hope to get from the undercut is immediately lost. So I feel like, because of the nature of the circuit, because of how difficult it's going to be to overtake, or how difficult it is to overtake, I think you go long. I think you go as long as you can, quite frankly, and just short fill and honestly just try to win it off pace. If I were them, though, if I were them, I would not be in a position to win it on pace because, frankly, I'm super slow. There's a reason why I am here, they are there, and it's definitely incredibly apparent. I mean, Kevin, you're generally quicker than me, but I'd probably be in the 16th, best guess.
I'm not too sure where we would be in this grid, because GT3s and iRacing are a spectacular different beast compared to whatever else we drive. We already noticed in LMU that, yeah, it's really circuit car dependent who is better between us. But yeah, I think in this crew, we may be able to hope to fight for top 10, but whether we can is something else. We're now on board with Wyatt Johnson trying to get towards the back of Javi Sanabria. There's just a little bit of a gap just below a second, just about, depending through which corner they go. And, you know, you see these little fights all around. Like, you see Ted Piper to the back end of Daniel Kent. Piotr has now pulled away a little bit from Michael Hickman. But yeah, still quite a bit away from Paul O'Malley. Though I am seeing like quite a lot of these drivers through some of these wider, longer, medium speed corners. They are touching the grass. Do you think that maybe they've taken the touch grass, be alive advice a bit much too hard for this race?
I mean, as any good gamer knows, it is important to touch grass, but I have a sneaking suspicion it is entirely due to the narrow and technical nature of this circuit that they're ending up on the grass whether they do or don't want to. Though it's sort of from sim to sim, you get nice sort of forgiving grass. I'd say Le Mans Ultimate and iRacing sort of have more forgiving grass that you can kind of just drive onto it if you're at reasonable speed, you'll be fine. So they're getting away with it, but no, they definitely don't want to be touching grass, regardless of how they feel about it.
Well, yeah, it is definitely different per sim that you go into. As yeah, here we see that both the Mercedes here of Daniel Kent and Ted Piper go a little bit wide, but just barely touching the grass there. Still very close to each other. 0.7 going through these last couple of corners. But yeah, it really depends on how good of a run they get out of those corners. As they're going towards turn 5 here, we now see a gap of 0.76 going towards 0.8. So it does look like Daniel Kent has a little bit of a better grip of this track compared to Ted Piper, but Ted Piper's still very close. He might just be thinking about, instead of trying to go be at the back of Daniel Kent each corner, give himself a little bit of a gap, not destroy his tires, and just try and follow for a little bit, because the dirty air, even in these GT3s, it can be very apparent, as people have noticed in different sims. But here now we go back to Wyatt Johnson, really sniffing at the rear of Javi Sanabria. Here we go. It's a Corvette against a McLaren. Wow. It's a Corvette against a Mercedes, and we see a very different line there from Wyatt Johnson, probably trying to slingshot his way through, but just about doesn't get there. And we see here, like, he's beginning very close to the back of Harvey for the last lap, for the last couple corners, and it really does look like he's trying to slingshot his way through.
Yeah, it's so you sort of see maybe a half dive. Oh wait, no, it's a half dive into a full dive. That was absolutely mega. Just really set themselves up, forcing the error and going for a line that doesn't really mean that your entry or your mid corner speed through turn 1 is going to be great, but it's going to guarantee that your exit towards turn 2 is just going to be supremely good. That was absolutely excellent. I feel like all the overtakes we've really caught, we thought it'd be turn 1, turn 5, but no, we're seeing turn 2, turn 7, lots of attempts at 14 and 15 where you sort of wouldn't really expect, but it's so clear that these drivers are having to make the best of the hand that they're dealt and go for something unexpected, because overtaking already difficult at Barber. That's the one thing, if you've learned anything tonight, overtaking at Barber, difficult. But if you're the leading car, it's just got to be so easy to defend, knowing that there's only a couple of opportunities. If you really sniff something happening, just cover the middle, cover the inside in these bigger braking zones. So it's forcing everyone to really think through their moves twice as hard. And that's showing us or giving us the opportunity to see some really risky moves that really, well, they make for good TV, Kevin. There's really no other way to say it.
Oh, that's definitely for sure. Especially as we didn't expect Wyatt to send it there in towards Javi Sanabria. On the other hand, we now see, as you can see on the right-hand side of the timing tower on the left, Daniel Kent is currently on an outlap, but we now see a yellow flag as well there, so they might have gone off into the grass, just off track for a little bit. But they pulled the trigger early for the stop, so knowing where they were before, it's going to be very interesting where they're going to end up, because they were in that P5 position, if I remember correctly. So we'll see, maybe in not too long a time, whether that early pit stop is helped out for them or not, though that trip into the grass might not have helped them, and we see another yellow flag there. It is quite difficult for them, yeah, and here they even go further into the gravel. So to me, that does look like they did a tire change, cold tires, Even though in previous races we've seen the drivers not take any fresh tires and just keep on going. But yeah, this does look to me like they were on fresh tires and now they are struggling on their outlap.
I think you're absolutely right, and it definitely seems like a very high energy circuit. There's some big sort of uh, higher G corners, a lot of sustained energy being put into the tires. So I'm not terribly surprised to see that somebody making the gamble on tires, but in an hour-long race, I don't know if it's really ever worth it unless that you feel that will make or break. Maybe you've had a spin or two, you have some flat spots that you just want to clear so you can sort of go a lot quicker. But I don't know, it could be a consideration for other drivers if they're really paying attention. They think, all right, so Daniel Kent pitted earlier on. He's really struggling on that outlap. All right, maybe something we need to keep in mind for their own race strategy if they're paying enough attention. So when you're driving a race car, you're kind of just focused on driving the race car. So whether or not you notice, more power to you. It does sort of seem like that that up at the front of the field, I mean, Paul O'Malley relaxed first off, but Piotr Shabilski has, after that mistake, gained a bit on Michael Hickman, but hasn't gained anything at all on Paul O'Malley. It's been about 4.5 seconds this entire time. So I don't know. I'm really they are sort of all going long as I maybe suspected they would, but I mean, my money's on the dad man at the moment. Though, as you know as well as anybody, Kevin, it's the small margins that decide everything, in these small moments that could entirely change the outlook of this race. So 28 minutes to go, anybody's game.
Yeah, it does seem a little bit like they're going for the same strategy, and in a way, like all the gaps have been stabilizing / growing a little bit. Like Piotr had got us close back again as 3.4, but it's grown to 4.5, and Michael Hickman was very close behind at first, but it's now grown to 3.1 seconds. So yeah, all these drivers are, like, it really looks like they're now settling into their mid-race rhythm. Like Ted Piper here, still trying to get to the back of David De Leon. It's just over a second behind, but this is now, I think, really the first time that we're looking at what are the strengths of two different cars, because in these technical sections you can see the Porsche pull away, but then whenever you can just put the throttle down, you can see that Mercedes of Ted Piper coming back. So that is a bit of a difference. Like here, like the final couple corners here in sector 3, there is that difference. But I think they're now both going into pit lane. Yes, they have, as has James O'Brien. So yeah, that doesn't give themselves any bit of a help. Now Amerit Pasquale has gone through on all three of them, having fought her way back to P4 now on track. But it does beg the question, where does she come out once she does the pit herself? But yeah, I think especially this top 3 that we see of Paul O'Malley, Piotr Przybylski, Michael Hickman are at the front. Though we did see a quick yellow flag from Paul O'Malley, and he's gone into the pits. And I think now the same for Michael Hickman, if that is the same type of yellow flag that he had. Yeah, he's also gone into the pits. So Piotr has decided to keep on going for a little bit longer. Paul O'Malley, Michael Hickman into the pits for their mandatory stop because of the 55% fuel tank, so they can't do the whole hour on one tank. So yeah, we'll see where they all head out.
Yeah, and I will say, I got incredibly nervous. I saw that yellow flag pop up. I saw the gap start to drop. I, as quickly as I could, clicked on the camera, and it was pit lane. It was fine. Interestingly, though, Ted Piper made the pass in pit lane on David De Leon. They came out at about 8/10 of a second, and on this outlap so far, it's already been opened up by a large amount. Could it be that the Porsche driver took on new tires and is maybe just a bit slower? I honestly not 100% sure. It's another yellow for pit entry. That just every single time I see that, it makes me jump out of my skin because I get nervous, worry about everybody, and they're, yellow flags aren't a good thing. But everybody's sort of rolling on through, and this is really when we're going to start to see where everybody's going to be set up for the end of the race. Ultimately, once the pit cycle is complete, who's going to be where? What's the gap going to be at the front? Very interestingly, because Paul O'Malley went in last lap. Piotr Trybulski's in right now. They'll come through. The gap was about 5-ish seconds on entry, so we'll see what it is on the way out. Same with Michael Hickman. Did either of them get closer or further away because of their slightly earlier stop? The last person that will need to stop is Anne-Marie De Pasquale, and as I say that, I think she's entering pit lane, and through goes O'Malley, and Piotr is on circuit, and it is, well, it's about the same gap, just about. It's a little over 5 seconds, but it seems that, Kevin, the answer to what difference did it make? Not really any difference.
It looks like at the moment it's just about a second, though. It looks like Michael Hickman has lost out a bit versus Piotr Trybulski. But looking at the rest of the field, it looks like it's about same old. I think the one really interesting one at the moment is where Anne-Marie is going to finish out, because she did have some good pace. She did go for a little bit longer, where she's now on her outlap. It looks like Ted Piper might just pip her, as he has, but this has now put Anne-Marie into P6. It is now the outlap. Even if you didn't change tires, those tires will still cool down a little bit, so she'll need a little bit to get them properly fired up again. But I think going long has really helped here for Anne-Marie.
Absolutely. Being within reach of 5th position, I think, is some stellar work. Granted, I was sort of hoping differently for this week, since last week was a recovery drive. Well, this week turned into also a bit of a recovery drive. However, not entirely the fault of Anne-Marie this time. It wasn't just a spin on their own. It was, well, a spin with a bit of help. So whoever's fault that is, I'm sure will be decided by people who are more qualified than I. But it does look like Ted's gonna be having a fight on his hands at some points, because it does seem like Anne-Marie is one of the quicker cars out here in terms of race pace, and honestly is one of the quicker drivers in this championship. But it's as high as she can get is going to be good for her points. And I have a sneaking suspicion that there may have been a tire change on that Mustang, because it definitely is not running. I mean, as you said, Kevin, the tires do cool when you're stationary in pit lane, but the pace isn't representative of, hey, my tires are up to temperature. So I don't know, maybe a late race surge for the Red Bull Esports driver.
That could very well be, but I do want to put in a sideline towards what you were saying, like with the standings. I just pulled up like the top 10 currently in the driver standings, and it's still quite close, but it does look like Paul O'Malley is slightly running away with this at this moment in time, because he's in P1 with 89 points. Michael Hickman, 80 points. He's currently in P3. That's still going to be a good haul of points for him. Anne-Marie de Pasquale, 74 points. Probably a bit of a loss for her as it stands. Piotr Trybulski, 60 points. James O'Brien, 59. Marcus Taylor, 51. Devon Strouch, 41 points. Ted Piper, 33. Wyatt Johnson, 26. Sam Trotter, equal on 26 points. And then Daniel Kent, 25. Followed by David De Leon, Stefano Zanotti, Stan Paterakis, Willie Sellers, Javi Sanabria, Rigo Campos, Alex Rowinsky, Henry Velez Jr., and George Reynolds Jr. brings up the top 20. So that is your standings as they are at the moment. So yeah, we can see as things stand right now, Paul O'Malley is going to pull away. Piotr is going to grab a good couple points. Michael Hickman is going to sort of solidify his P2. But yeah, Anne-Marie is going to have a big fight on her hands to try and keep that P3.
Yeah, the good news is it is a very long season. The way this season is designed is actually a significant amount of gravel that's on the circuit at the exit of turn 1, really mid corner for turn 2. But the way the season is designed is it follows the USA GT3 official tour that iRacing does, the official iRacing events. So it is 12 rounds. So the fight is on. I mean, honestly, it really could go anybody's way. I mean, let's say Paul O'Malley goes on vacation for 2 weeks. I don't know, isn't able to race for whatever reason. That gives everybody a huge opportunity to come close to that big trophy, and that's sort of the good and the bad of a super long championship. Is everyone has an opportunity, but also everyone has an opportunity if they're able to, and if you're able to make most of the season or all of the season, you are at a huge advantage. But it seems like, Kevin, the tires are fired and the Mustang's on the hunt, because I did throw the last lap times up because I was really curious where everybody was running, and it does seem that Anne-Marie has found the temp, found the comfortability, and is looking to eat some AMG for dinner.
Yeah, I mean, we saw she fell back to almost 3 seconds behind, and now she's on the rear end of that Mercedes of Ted Piper. But we've also seen previously, like at the start of the race, like it's still going to be very, very, very difficult for her to get past that Mercedes, because it doesn't really seem to matter what car is ahead of you. It's still going to be one hell of a fight ahead, and by the looks of things, it's not going to be in those standard positions. It's going to be one hell of a move in order to get through, like somewhere where you don't expect it, somewhere where usually you think, oh, okay, the gap's going to close because of the corner profile, but somehow, some way, these drivers are making it work, making it stick without contact, which so far has been great to see. But yeah, I do have a feeling, like with the pace that Anne-Marie's showing at the moment, that she is going to be able to do this before the end of the race. But how long it's going to take her, it might still be a couple laps, but just watch my words saying that it might take her a couple laps. Just watch her do it now in the next couple corners.
I mean, drivers do love proving commentators wrong. Whether or not they're listening, whether or not they can hear us, they just, I don't know, maybe they get like a little itch on the back of their neck and they go, I think I need to send it now. Somebody's watching, somebody's talking about me. But it's, I think, something that is going to happen. The good news, well, good news, bad news for Anne-Marie that I see is she can really take her time with this, because 27 seconds to James O'Brien at being the next car, let's be honest, probably not going to really happen, even if Anne-Marie overtakes Piper right now. So she can afford to be patient, which is good news for her. Maybe not so good news for Ted Piper, but when he wants to be, Ted is a excellent defensive driver. He can be very patient. He's not one that makes a lot of mistakes, so it's not going to be easy. But it is, I don't know, it's an opportunity for Ted. I mean, hey, it's not every day that you have an esports driver right up your gearbox. So I'm sure it's going to be fun regardless.
Well, I think one of the things Anne-Marie has against her is that it's known to these drivers that she is a Red Bull esports driver. So it might just put these other guys. It's like, I'm not letting this esports driver through because they want to show how good they are themselves. This is actually one of those corners where I thought might be getting a little bit close. But once again, yeah, Ted just has a good exit there. Yeah. Ooh, we have a slightly longer yellow flag for David de Leon, but it looks all good. I did see one of the drivers where last time I was here, I think it was 2 rounds ago, when we were at Motorsport, where one of the drivers that was struggling heavily was Anthony Pacheco.
Oh, we might be seeing a move here.
Here we have a move on the inside, and wow, she's actually done it in one of the places where we thought it might happen. Inside a turn 5 heavy braking zone, she's gone through, and I think actually now that she will just be able to pull away. But it did look like Ted Piper had a quick look into the chicane, but that brought him just a little bit off of the line. And yeah, Amory is through now. Yeah, once again, just want to come back after that great move by Amory. Want to come back to Anthony Pacheco. Something must have happened to Zanotti because Pacheco has just passed him very quickly. But Pacheco seems like he was struggling very much at Motorsport. But it seems like he's having a way better time here today, here at Barber Motorsport Park.
I would say so, and driving the best car on the grid, no competition. I'm not biased in any way. Maybe not my favorite livery. I don't know. I think anime women on the side of a race car is kind of awesome, but it's not a specifically plaid, specifically red, specifically IMSA GTD Pro livery. Cough cough, Faf Motorsports, cough cough. That just this car looks at its absolute best at that point. But no, I think it is a better day. Definitely off to a slower start. I don't know if Pacheco was behind in the formation lap, maybe made some sort of error, but you noticed it too at the race start. It wasn't going 100% well for them, but giving the Lambo a little bit of love. As let the V10 sing, even though this V10 is due for retirement at this point. But, it's okay. It's good while it lasts. Everybody knows the best things are the shortest lived. All right, Kevin. Favorite GT3 car on this grid right now? If you had to pick one to drive, what's it going to be from the field?
Ooh, I think I would personally go for the vet. Might be a little controversial because it's not seen really as like.
Hold on.
Oh my God! What happened to Paul O'Malley?
Shall we find out? This happened just moments ago. We saw an earlier incident. It's coming out of 12. He
just a tag slapper there. So that means at least Piotr Przybylski has gotten through into the lead, with Michael Hickman now close at the rear there of Paul O'Malley. So that GT really struggling there, suddenly getting a tag slapper. And yeah, this now looks like it might be Piotr's to win.
It is at the moment. He is our reigning victor in the series, and an incident where, well, it was their own incident that almost decided win or lose, but at this point it's somebody else's incident that's going to decide it. But I feel like I almost manifested that, because I said it was sort of Paul O'Malley's to lose. He was very comfortable, but a small mistake can turn into a big mistake. Can it turn into losing the lead? But with 11 minutes to go, that is exactly what happened. The Mustang losing it, and Michael Hickman, who's sort of been, well, this is the second time within position to try to grab an extra spot. But I'd say the real question is, even this late in the race, Kevin, does Hickman have the pace? 'Cause let's be honest here, Paul O'Malley is rapid.
Yeah, it did just look like Paul O'Malley, like, especially when he lost it, for some reason he was pushing it too hard, maybe scared a little bit of what Piotr might be able to push through in the last 10 minutes, and then just caught himself out. It does look like Paul O'Malley will just have the pace in order to keep P2, but Hickman knows, like, if he can keep that pressure on, that O'Malley might make another mistake, because it did just look like he just took in too much pace into that corner, lost it on the brakes, maybe the weight transfer. But yeah, like, you see already, like, the mistake has been there once. You can already see him, like, go a little bit more carefully through some of these corners. So as long as Michael Hickman keeps on the pressure, he might actually take that P2.
Yeah, an incident like that, it can kind of rattle you a little bit, especially something that is from the race lead. You know, you're completely on your own, and you start to get frustrated. You start to maybe think, oh, I need to go faster now to get back up to the lead, and you know, another mistake, it could be not that far behind, but I'm sure the with a driver with as much experience as Paul O'Malley probably will be able to sort it out. But Hickman is in a good position. O is right. Daniel Kent, David DeLeon, the duel. This is not the first time they've dueled this race. It's not the first time they've dueled this season. It is this season so far. There's been so much good racing in the midfield, and I'm glad that it doesn't seem like it's cooling down anytime soon. Maybe Kevin, it reached a peak tonight and then been a bit overboard, but it's still been some stellar racing. I think we got some more to go. I mean, Kent's on the back of the Porsche. They're heading through the third sector. It almost seems like the best way to do it. You start to inch closer. You start to apply a little bit of pressure. You start to learn the driver ahead of you. And then once you notice that they're slow in this corner, maximum attack. So I have a feeling Daniel Kent's looking for that. And he's close coming into turn one, but I don't think he's close enough as of yet. But 8 minutes to go, Kevin. Plenty to play for. Possibly
plenty to play for, especially if you now look at some of the gaps, like special Daniel Kent against David De Leon and Michael Hickman against Paul O'Malley. Those are the two. Oh, there's another yellow flag for Paul O'Malley. Michael Hickman is through. Another mistake, it looks like, by Paul O'Malley, unless something else happened. Hopefully you have a replay ready to go.
I do.
Just to tell us what the hell happened there. So yeah, here we still see Paul O'Malley coming through. There is a car in front that is a lapped car. But he just loses the rear. And he does hit the barrier there, so there will probably be either some rear aero damage, or the diffuser might have some serious damage. So what we do see there, which is a big thing in iRacing, is that he did throw more gravel onto the track. That is going to hinder all the other drivers, because as we know in iRacing, that gravel does stay on track, and especially if it's on the racing line, that will hinder everyone until it's been cleared by a couple of cars.
Oh, it might be a move into one. Daniel Kent was close last time around. He's very close this time. They're going to go too wide and give each other the appropriate amount of room. I think Daniel Kent thinking, I'm not going to make the same mistake twice, and ends up tucking in behind the Porsche. But there's opportunity there. Absolutely. There might be opportunity here coming back towards 5. It's close, maybe not quite close enough. It's just not a deep enough braking zone, quite frankly. I mean, well, you sort of start to press the brakes on the crest. You start to head downhill. You think, downhill into a hairpin. Should be a pretty big braking zone, but it's not a long straight. The one coming before, so it's just Barber's a beast, is all I've learned, and definitely a driver circuit. Super technical.
It definitely asks a lot from the drivers, and especially like it's not really like a flowy track where like the corners are like always the same. Like in every corner it demands something different from the driver, so you need to keep your concentration all throughout the race. And well, as we see, like probably Paul O'Malley has been, just struggling that little bit. Like, yeah, 2 slight mistakes in a short amount of time, and yet that has caught him just caught him a little bit. And once again, we see Daniel Kent looking on the outside this time because David de Leon took the inside, the defensive line, a little bit wide there by Daniel Kent. And yeah, this fight has been going on now for quite a good couple laps. And I really think that Daniel Kent is looking for a point where he can get through, which is a little bit unorthodox, but he might be looking at those a little bit too much. What do you think, Jack?
I feel like you're onto something. It's almost like what we saw earlier in the race with Anne Marie. This does seem like a circuit that is difficult to be patient. So I don't blame the drivers at all, but it just seems like their sort of willingness to overtake and want to do it super quickly, and they are here to race, and that's what they're trying to do. It's holding them back a little bit. Maybe back off a tenth or two. Maybe find a gap a bit wider so that you can really push it on the exit of a corner. Almost exactly like what we just saw just then with O'Malley sort of dropping back just a bit and going for the better exit. It's defended well yet again, but on the exit though of 2, there might be a moment. They're still side by side, but there goes the Porsche tucking back in, maybe hoping for a run down towards turn 5. Goes super aggressive mid-corner, runs it wide, but I don't think even with the mightiest of the Porsche GT3 brakes, I don't think that one's going to be held on to. So super work from Daniel Kent. It took him 3 laps of trying into 1 to eventually get the move done in 2. And honestly, I feel like as I was saying it, my point was proven there a bit, Kevin. So I feel like I sound a bit smart right now.
Almost. But yeah, it was 3 laps or more for him to get through, and it just showed how difficult it is to overtake. Like, we've seen it all throughout this race, that it's so difficult to overtake because of all these fast corners, and even in the heavy braking zones, like, it goes downhill. You need to brake early or you just go deep. But yeah, it still baffles me that most of these overtakes have been in, like, unorthodox places, like through turns 2 and 3, where you'd think like it'd just be line astern. But yeah, they keep doing it there, and we have another yellow flag for Paul O'Malley, who he probably didn't take tires in his pit stop. I'm, to be honest, unsure about all the others. But yeah, Paul has really been struggling with those tires after the pit stop, so it might just be that he's been asking a bit too much of them, slightly overheating, and now he's sadly paying the price. It has now meant that James O'Brien is now, instead of over 10 seconds behind, is now 8.3. So James might now be thinking, oh, Paul's making mistakes, 2 minutes to go. If I close a little bit, maybe I can get that podium position, even though it's now just below 2 minutes remaining. It's not a lot of time, but if you put that pressure on, maybe Paul makes that other mistake.
Yeah, and James O'Brien, for those of you who were here last week, knows that he is the one who he found himself in a near race winning position, not by being the quickest, but by making the least mistakes. A tale as old as time. So one more mistake, I think we've got maybe 1 more lap to go, or 2 more laps to go rather, as Piotr Trubisky just crossed the line. I don't think I saw the white flag, but knowing me, I'll probably call the finish wrong regardless. Well, actually, Kevin's gonna call the finish, so haha, it's on you now, big boy. But no, it's a tale as old as time. Don't make mistakes and drive consistently, and you can find yourself in really, really strong opportunities. But I think it's a bit too little, too late. Even on a struggly day as this for a driver like Paul O'Malley, he's got enough time on the sim under his belt where he can hold it together for at least 2 laps. But it's good news for the championship, though, for everybody who isn't named Paul O'Malley. That, hey, by the way, opportunity. Looking like the dad man, maybe not going to catch as many points as would have had otherwise, Kevin. So, who's to say?
Yeah, it does throw the championship open again a little bit for him to miss out on a couple of points. Puts Piotr a bit closer into championship contention. Yeah, you see him now go across the start-finish straight. This will be the white flag, so final lap starts now. Looking across the field, the only close fight at the moment is still David de Leon trying to get back at Daniel Kent. But we have another yellow flag for Paul O'Malley. It's only a quick one, so it probably only was a slight off track. But still, that is music to the ears of James O'Brien. He hopes just in his last lap something else might happen. Michael Hickman, yeah, still a proper 7 seconds behind Piotr here. So that looks like that is set right now. It does seem like everyone is, sort of keeping position at the moment. Nothing really big happening. So, yeah, it seems like everyone's just going to have a sort of chilled, nice last lap. Here we see now Piotr Przybylski going through Sector 3, the last couple corners. He is catching a couple cars, but with the 7-second lead, he probably won't be looking to overtake anyone. We do see someone still enter the pit lane, so either they're out of fuel or something else must have happened that they're like, I need to enter pits. But here we see Piotr Przybylski cross the line, checkered flag, the winner, Piotr Przybylski of round 5 at Barber Motorsport Park. P2, Michael Hickman, 7 seconds behind. And we go back now probably to Paul O'Malley, who lost out sadly big time in that last 10 minutes, a couple of spins. But he still gets that P3 here at Barber Motorsport Park.
Yeah, it's what could have been for Paul O'Malley. James O'Brien, though, another solid finish, nearly stepping onto that podium again, finishing in 4th. I think, oh, that's an interesting place to park a race car. A little bit of touchy after the line. That's allowed, you know. They're not these aren't real cars. They can bust them up all they want once they cross the line. And Marie De Pasquale is going to be the next to cross the line, and I think it's a lesson in the importance of qualifying at Barber Motorsport. I think if Anne-Marie just deadly confused by the scene that is happening in front of them, Ted Piper's going to come across the line, followed closely on by Daniel Kent next. But yeah, it shows how important that qualifying is. If Anne-Marie may be qualified up sort of towards the top 4, I think critically ahead of Stefano Zanatti could have been an entirely different tune we'd be singing. As Daniel Kent comes across the line, David De Leon as well, finishing in 8th. Wyatt Johnson, he was the car that's brutally destroying Paul O'Malley. They are having fun, and I love it. I think everybody else has just about crossed the line, as we see Leon Vallejo Gastelum in the ARL Porsche pulls over. Devin Strauss finishing up there in lap, possibly the only driver doing an actual proper in lap, and everyone else just derbying themselves just a little bit. But yeah, lots of I'd say interesting stories from the night. Lots of good action. Maybe a bit too much at times. I'll let you guess what I'm referring to, but unorthodox moves for sure, and possibly another circuit, Kevin, that we both sort of are maybe a bit of a fan of. I don't know, I'm a bit of a fan of Barber at this point.
Yeah, it's definitely a track that put up some unexpected moves because like we said at the start, you look at some of the possible overtaking areas and you'd think like, okay, maybe if you're alongside into turn 1, braking zone turn 5, might be able to do it there, otherwise into turn 7. But yeah, we saw like quite a lot of moves through 2, 3, 4. So even before getting to turn 5, and also like some moves going through the final sector. So yeah, that really surprised me. But I don't want to like stomp on someone while they're down. The one that really uh, surprised me with how much they struggled at the end was Paul O'Malley, because for so long they were doing so well that like they looked like they had the pace. They kept on going, and it looked like they had everything under control. And then just in the last 10 minutes, 3 spins, and they're down to P3. Uh, Giving Piotr the win, and then
Nope.
Michael Hickman. And
Speaking of the devil.
speaking of the devil, here we have Piotr Przybylski coming in as our winner. Piotr, it was a bit of work for you, I'd say, today, because yeah, you didn't have the front row start, but or you
Yeah.
had the front row start, but
Yeah.
you still had to try and fight your way through. It did look like Paul O'Malley had the pace today, but you kept on pushing and you got that P1. So how was that race for you?
I feel like at the start it was fine, and then what was it? The first time when he went wide into T2, I tapped him a little bit, which messed me up hard. But then I think it was more down to consistency and not taking some of the corners as hard, because on the older tires with the higher fuel, I had a feeling it was something was going to happen to him, and eventually it did twice. So I kind of just focused on the consistency. He was definitely going to win the race. It was definitely based off luck of him spinning, but I think it came down to my consistency as well.
Yeah, speaking of consistency, we saw in previous rounds, like you definitely had to pace. Like if we look at most sports, you definitely had the pace, but yeah, we're struggling a little bit there to keep the car on track. Uh, is it something you've been like training on, working on a bit more, or is this just more a better track for you?
I feel like it's also a better track. Mosper was kind of difficult, but I think it's also doing a little bit of high fuel runs and getting a feel of how twitchy the car is on the higher fuel. And for me, when the car gets even lighter, it becomes a little bit more lively. So I have to calm it down a little bit more. Like in quality, I ran maybe 6 gallons, just so the car feels more planted, rather than making the car even lighter for my setup. But yeah, I think the amount of laps you do on the higher um, tanks helps with the consistency and knowing where you can like back off a tiny bit more.
Yeah, for sure. We saw a lot of unorthodox moves because we thought it would be more like in the heavier braking zones, like turns 1 and 5. But we saw quite some more moves going into like through turns 2, 3, 4, and also in the final sector. Were you looking at those moves, or did you think of more the traditional sides?
I think well, I know T1 to T2 wasn't really. I know the hairpin was a possibility going into it, but the fast right-hander coming into the final part, I didn't even think about trying to make ever a move there on lapped cars. I kind of just waited a little bit until we got into a straight, and then I would pass them. So I was looking more at the safety, just so I can finish the race on the podium.
All right. In any case, from my side, gratulacje.
Thank you.
Jack, anything for you?
No, not really. Another great race. I mean, I said I like to think that I played a part in this because last week I said to you, maybe we'll talk to you next week. I don't know.
That's very true.
I mean, I feel like I won the race too, to some degree. And
Maybe.
I'm gonna
Instead of
keep telling
commentator's
myself that.
curse, it's commentator's luck instead of curse.
So I may have given a good old commentator's curse to Paul. I would argue it was not intentional, though. I did talk about how well he was doing, and then later he spun, and that's just sort of like open and shut case on a commentator's curse. I never wish it on anybody. It's just it happens. But no, a superb race from you. I mean, tale as old as time. Make a couple too few mistakes based on the guy ahead of you, and victory is yours. I mean, actually, I do have one question. Are you a Barber enthusiast, or was it for you like with a lot of people your first sort of time driving it?
First time. I purchased the track like Wednesday. I
Okay.
purchased the track Wednesday. I'm like, I drove maybe like 2 hours to get a feel of it, and then I practiced for the 50 minutes. I'm like, okay, I think I have it down pretty well.
It seemed like the theme. It seemed like the theme. So did you enjoy it? You give it a thumbs up?
It was a pretty good track. Technical in some parts, definitely, especially into the hairpin, where if you slow down too much, the rear just spins.
It definitely
Especially and to turn one. You have to be careful
a
not to go
beast.
too quick.
I mean, the chicane 7, 8, and 9 right after
Yeah.
the hairpin turn 5. That to me, granted, have not driven the circuit, so I don't know. But that to me, just like looking at it, seemed like that's just an absolute bruiser of a complex. But I don't know. Bit of a fan of Barber now. If races come back around here, I'd look forward to maybe giving him a watch. But no, congrats again this week, and
Thank you.
I'll say it since it worked last time, but I don't know, maybe next week. Obviously, if I'm here, maybe we'll be chatting again.
Totally. And pronounce my name very well, actually. So
Yes.
very
I
very
was
much.
Kevin-
about to ask, were we saying Piotr Przybylski correctly?
It was actually very good for it. Yeah, it was very good.
See, Kevin,
Nice,
Kevin,
Jack,
it's
we got it.
unfair for Kevin because he's Dutch, so he's used to the whole.
Oh, nice.
He's
It's
used
still
to it.
Polish.
Well, I know, but you're used to having to deal with European names, where I, as a cheeseburger loving doofus in Florida, have had to adapt.
Dutch is a very strange language when it comes to wording.
Wow.
Whoa,
Wow.
Let's. I feel
I
like
tried to
Wow,
learn.
we
I
feel
like,
tried
whoa.
to learn a little bit of it.
I
I tried to learn a
congratulate
little.
him on the win, and he comes back with this.
It's a very interesting language. I tried learning it for like a little bit. I'm like, I don't know. But
Well, in
very
that
interesting.
case, gefeliciteerd met de winst.
Oh, dude, out of my league.
Yeah. Anyway, once again, thank you very much for joining us, Piotr.
Of course.
Congratulations on the win. It was a very good race.
Thank you guys for having me as well, and great commenting.
Thank you. Yeah, that was another great race here on ARL. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Well, we said before we'd never seen any race here at Barber Motorsport Park, but yeah, whenever there's a next race, I think it's going to be a good one to watch. But yeah, with that all said and done, I want to thank everyone in the chat for supporting your favorite driver. I see some Przybylskis in the chat at the end there. So once again, thank you very much for joining us. We hope to see you all next time. And until then, have a very good evening.